episode of the Crafty Boys. This is episode 45. I can't believe we made it to 45. Dave, can you?
I can.
Alan can.
He's
got confidence.
Barely. It stretches what
What do you
little
mean,
imagination I have.
Did you guys ever, when you were kids, like, could you imagine yourself at 45? Like to me, it was inconceivable that I would ever be that high of an age. And I'm still not 45 yet, by the way. But I still can't imagine myself being 45. But
why are you not 45
did you ever have that when you were kids, or even just younger?
I think for me it was a lot younger. Like I did a lot of. I remember leading up to the year 2000. Every so often, if I thought about it, like in the 90s, I would actually kind of go, how old will I be in 2000 again? 1, 2, 3, and I'd actually count it out in my fingers.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, no, I totally did because I think what is it, 26, 20? Oh my God, how old was I? Anyway, but yeah, that's.
You probably thought like, there's no way I'm going to live that long.
Yeah.
To be that age. Something's going to happen to me, like a rock is going to fall out of the sky and crush me.
Odin will come down and destroy me.
Soldiers of Odin, actually.
Who?
The soldiers of Odin.
Soldiers of Odin.
Oh yes, these. Maybe we should first talk about the beer before we jump into the man talk, or the hashtag Canadian man stuff. But essentially, for those who are in the know, which is not me.
Nor me.
Nor me.
It's Dave, apparently.
Dave has a great amount of information about the soldiers of Odin. Dave, go.
I have a whole headline here. Anti-immigrant, open quote, soldiers of Odin, close quote, raise concern in Finland. I'm guessing it's just more shit about all the Syrians that are being shipped to various parts of Europe, and much of Europe is apparently getting into a bit of a tiz about this whole thing, and some of it ain't pretty. I think,
but honestly, these soldiers of Odin could be like 2 people. I mean, it could be a couple of guys.
I don't know. I think there's kind of a strong right-wing thing in Europe right now.
Sure, but it still is probably a minority, I think. Like a vast minority.
I would hope so. I would really hope so. Absolutely. Especially for the sake of the poor Syrians. My God. Can you imagine getting out of one ridiculous situation into another one?
And getting pepper sprayed?
It has been.
I just want to start breaking kneecaps.
You want to break their whose knee?
I said if I was Syrian, I would just want to start breaking kneecaps.
I would think so.
Just go up to some guy and just break his knee. Hey, I'm Syrian. I'm angry.
The first guy that got in my face, about me being over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, I think probably the most interesting, not that I'm trying to say that the whole situation is boring, but the most interesting thing I saw was oh my God.
You saw Oh My God? You mean the movie with George Burns?
George Burns. No, what's his name? Oh my Lord. Mandy Patinkin. The singer / You Killed My Father, Prepare to Die. He actually went over to Italy and things like that, or areas around there, to basically help pull people off boats and things like that. To bring them into Turkey or wherever he was. He bounced around.
It's kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
So well, the thing was is that it wasn't really about him doing that. It was actually him with a bunch of camera crew people, helping people out of the thing with a bunch. It wasn't just him standing on a beach with a couple of camera guys. No, it was like a whole group. He was there with whatever organization it was, and it was probably, of all the news over the past number of months that's been sort of thrown at our faces about this, that was probably the most real moment I saw. Was him. Just basically just trying to be a dude, kind of like Sean Penn during the after Katrina, going just going down to there to actually help people with the water. And sure, he's got all both of those guys have all this press, they have all this star power and recognition, but Patinkin was there not just standing there talking about it, he was actually in there doing things and just kind of talking about it just as he was going. So I don't know. I found it was probably the most real thing I've seen about it regarding the whole situation over there. Now, yesterday I was listening to a podcast about a couple of different towns in Canada that are accepting refugees. And it was kind of neat. There was actually one from the CBC program, Definitely Not the Opera, which was following around a young couple, like a girl and a boy, who were in their sort of early 20s, late teens, who came over to Canada a number of years ago and have sort of grown up in Canada a bit. And now they are actually in the middle of, I forgot where the town is. It's like Albion, Manitoba, or something. Sort of south Manitoba, and they're basically acting as translators. They're acting as sort of trying to acclimatize people, especially for people from Syria. The first thing that they're kind of, I guess, which we kind of take for granted, that in winter it's cold. So these people are showing up and they're just like, what the hell? Like, it's so cold here. What is wrong with you people? So they're just kind of, it's like this whole town pretty much has been doing this for so long, has been bringing and introducing people from Syria and from other countries too into a Canadian community, that they're kind of just being like a focal point for a lot of organizations to, here's a place to live, here's a house that has been offered to you, and welcome to Canada kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's actually, I think those two moments, of all the coverage that we've seen for the last, 8 months, 9 months, almost, I guess, a year now, it's kind of just been something happening over there for me. It's horrible, there's awful things going on, but it's more recently, now that people have arrived in Canada, where we have these kinds of exchanges of just more personal coverage here, and then over there with Mandy Patinkin, helping out, because he has that recognition, because I've seen him in so many things, and I have a feeling of sort of who he is as a person versus who he is as a character on the screen. I just kind of like it because, actually, the closest I ever been to Mandy Patinkin was being at the Vancouver International Airport a number of years ago, probably early, like 2002, 2003. I was waiting for somebody, probably Allison, to come off the plane or something, and he was standing right beside me, and I didn't even realize it. I just heard this guy bitching about television, yet it pays the bills. He would prefer to do theater, and it was a fascinating conversation. Just this guy just kind of basically a tirade to whoever he was on the phone with. And I just kind of looked over, and I just did that sort of thing. You do this, that kind of thing. We were like, "What?" And then I realized he was doing what I was doing. He was waiting, he was in the same area. I was waiting for Allie to come out of the departure or arrival door, and he was waiting for someone to pick him up, I guess. Which I then later put two and two together, that he was in town to film the show Dead Like Me, I think is what it's called. But he really wanted to be in New York doing some theater thing on Broadway, but he needed to do this gig because it paid more. So anyway, aside from his bitching, he just seemed like a regular guy, just kind of going, "Hey, fuck this."
I'm surprised that he wouldn't get paid more, because he's got pretty serious recognition.
Yeah, but
so.
Dead Like Me was not network or anything, so
Was it not
it
HBO?
probably didn't pay as well. But it actually had some pretty good writing. I mean, it didn't really appeal to me. My wife really liked it.
I've never
Well, put
watched
it this way:
honestly.
the main character in the first 10 minutes gets hit by a toilet seat from space, so that kind of sets the tone for the entire thing.
That's a good opening.
I enjoyed it. Actually, it's kind of funny. When I was watching it, I watched the show, and it got canceled after I think it was partway through the third season or third whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they actually had a movie that came out in 2010 that sort of finished the series. So kind of one of those things where the series sort of ended with some cliffhangers, and then they got a chance to actually go back and then finish it a bit. So yeah.
Sounds a little bit like Dead Firefly.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring that up. Now I'm just gonna be sad.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Forget it. Okay,
my
beer
love,
time.
take my
Okay.
time.
Let's get on track to the beer.
Right. Sorry. This is.
Yeah, I think we're like 10
we
minutes
should talk
in,
about
so-
the beer. Anyway,
This
here,
is
yeah.
a brief interlude for.
Now you guys,
Information.
this is actually a beer that. This is so stupid. This is a beer I was trying to find, a month ago.
Yeah, we were trying to. Okay, well, first of all, it was Dave's pick, so maybe Dave should introduce what he picked.
Yes, good point. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. I picked the Ninkasi. That's probably not pronounced correctly, but anyways, it's a special release Noir. It's got a great label on it, as most of them do, as far as I'm concerned. They got good art. It's a milk stout.
That's a milk stout, isn't it?
Cold brewed coffee. Yes. Yeah, and you know what? The only reason I got it was because way back in the day when we started, like within the first 3 episodes, I swear, you guys were talking about a milk stout. I don't know if you guys remember that.
That was like episode. Actually, that was episode 1. Didn't we do a milk stout in episode 1? Let me look because I currently have our list of videos up here.
There you go. So I'm like, hey.
I'm not sure if it was a milk stout exactly, but it was the very first one was the Fuggles and Warlock Bean Me Up Espresso Stout.
Okay.
The Crafty Boys, Indiana Jones, the Temple of the Milk Stouts, episode 1 from last February.
Oh yeah, okay, I guess so.
Which I guess it is a milk stout.
All right.
So there you go.
And I wasn't able to get that one. No, that wasn't it. I didn't grab it because I didn't realize I was even in. And I got,
well, that's right. You were a late addition to this crew.
That's right. Shane gave me a shout like, okay, we're doing this tonight. I'm like, okay, sure.
Get in here. What's wrong with you? Why are you not here? Come on.
But I'm here. So yeah, there we go. So I guess, you know what, this might have been a little better if I had gotten this in February. I think that might have been a little more poetry there, but whatever.
I don't think you would have been able to get it in February, and I'll tell you why. Because it's only available up until December. So I was unable to find this particular selection. It's sold out everywhere in my neck of the woods. Yes. So I managed to get one that we had talked about in December, and we couldn't find it. None of us could find it at the time. Yeah. Also by Ninkasi. It's Sleigh'r. You can see there the label there. It's the name is written in the same kind of font as Sleigh'r, the death metal band.
That's right.
It's a Christmas seasonal release, a dark double alt ale. And so I saw it and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to grab it. I know it's past Christmas. You know, we're into 2016 here. It's a new year. But you know what? Screw it. I'm trying this one. So Shane,
yes.
What were you able to get?
I wasn't able to get anything back in the day. However, this week, Allison had to disappear at a moment's notice on the way back from, or to go to one of her clients, and did some stuff. And then on the way back, she said, "Oh, hey, I'm going to be driving right by the liquor store. Do you want me to pick something up for tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, I was going to head up there myself. However, if you're going to stop off and get it, I want the Sleigh'r or the Noir," and she got both. So I don't know which. I think I'm gonna hit the Sleigh'r to start.
Okay. So Shane and I will do our review of Sleigh'r, and then Shane and Dave can do their review of Noir.
All right. So I'm doing my pour.
All right. I'm gonna do mine.
This is the Sleigh'r, and hey, Allie's back.
It looks good.
Kind of a dark kind of.
Well, I'm kind of expecting that.
I now have a cool bottle opener that I can use.
Whoa! What is that? Tell us about it.
This is a Chinese bottle opener, and it's actually Chinese. There's the label, which might be a little hard to see.
A little hard to see on your crappy camera, but hey, it works for me.
Yes, unfortunately. There is actually some English on it.
I'm steam whistling it this week.
Me too.
Nice. I actually got this from a Chinese fella. He was a student that stayed at Maureen's place. And he got us little bits, and this was what he gave me. At the time, I was like, okay, I'll probably never use this. And now it's like, hey, this is awesome. And it's even got two sides, so it's got a blue guy and a red guy.
Cool.
So I like it.
So the Sleigh'r by Ninkasi has an IBU rating of 50. So that's actually a pretty...
You mean international beer units?
Yes, Shane. That's actually one of the highest level ones that we've had recently. And it's a... alcohol by volume is 7.2%. Almost said 72%.
That beer was really good. It just set itself on fire.
7.2%. On their website, they mentioned it was a good selection to have with, if you're having like red meat or something that sort of has a little bit more of a stronger flavor, maybe a strong cheeses, like if you're gonna have like a really rich chocolate cake, you could have it with that. So it pairs with things that are flavored kind of strongly. Shane, your thoughts?
I gotta say, it's definitely got a strong flavor. It has like I don't know, it's damn fine. I gotta say that
I really like it. It's well made. They've been making it since 2009, so I guess this is the 6th year of it. I assume they'll continue making it, but this is good. I don't know if I'd rate this as high as the Herminator, which we did like first week or second week of December.
Right.
I think that one will still remain my favorite holiday, release. But this is really good. I really like this. All right. Tip of the glass to Ninkasi for making a great beer.
Yeah, exactly, because it's one of the.
Where's Ninkasi based out of? It's Portland, isn't it?
Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene.
Well, speaking of Oregon, you guys, we were all just before we started the stream. We actually were talking about the whole Oregon standoff thing, and as we've been talking about the beer, I've actually brought up the articles that I found. Now, of course, do you guys understand what the Oregon standoff is about? Dave, I think you were the one that had the least amount of knowledge about it. Is that or my?
No, I have the least amount of knowledge. I know nothing about it.
Well, to give you a very layman kind of review of what it is,
A brief one.
a brief one for those who for for those who haven't heard about this, there's a small wildlife refuge. Oh, my facial hair got caught in the zipper. I hate that. There's a wildlife refuge in southeastern Oregon called the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. It's not that big. It's kind of teeny. But essentially what it is a place where it's out in the Tules, and a bunch of these militia guys from Oregon decided that they were going to fight the tyranny of the government by taking over like the ranger cabin at this refuge. Now, the best part about this is two things. It has been revealed by the news that the individuals, or some of the individuals that are partaking in this particular event, who of course think the government are a bunch of tyrannical jerks, did a whole bunch of stuff from the federal loan program. So they took money from the tyrannical government that they so seem to have decided that it should be toppled or something. And the other thing that's happened, aside from people wanting to know more about why these guys are taking over remote cabins in the middle of nowhere, that they are essentially dudes who this is my favorite part. The leader basically at the very beginning decided to ask the public for money. They had a bunch of donations given to them. And then the leader and his kid took that money and decided that they were just going to basically have a night of binge drinking with said money. So,
too.
Yeah, it's kind of amusing, and they've been apparently fighting on Facebook about this. So anyway, it is nuts. It is basically
Turn the page.
Situation.
It's just turn the page and something nuttier will happen tomorrow.
Pretty much.
Okay, Dave.
From what I understand, actually, just before we go on, from what I understand, this actually has to do with a grievance that this militia has with grazing rights.
Yes. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Well, I'm kind of talking out of my ass here, but anyways, from what I understand, I think the father has been charged by the government with what would it be, back fees or whatever you want to call it. He's being charged with non-payment for God knows how many years for using, I guess, some of this refuge, or all of it, God knows, as grazing land for his animals. And he has not paid for that right. So now the government has said, I guess more recently, hey dude, you kind of owe us some cash monies here. And he says, no, bite me. And now there's some guys with some guns. That's kind of a nutshell.
Yeah. And actually, the most interesting thing for me is that, or sorry, the most interesting, the latest thing for me is that they are now apparently going to leave. I think essentially because they were ignored. The world essentially just didn't care about them.
No, the world cared enough to send them a
apparently
large amount of dildos.
Yes, that too. What did we get? What the hell? Yeah, no, the news covered it, but the law didn't really cover it. I mean, they went there, but they didn't they didn't charge the gates, or they didn't do whatever. They just basically sat around like, yeah, if you want to stay here, sure, okay. I mean, I don't know, it just seems so incredibly bizarre somehow, just the I don't know. It just
Well, I think see Alan's earlier comment. Just turn the page and something nuttier will happen
that
tomorrow.
is so true.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
So,
way things seem to be going.
Okay. Try the other beer.
Right,
I
right.
I want to. I'm sad that I missed out on this because I want to try this.
I think you should. I think you'd enjoy it. Because I think
Have you tried it?
Fuggles. Yeah, I've been drinking it. I think you liked the Fuggles, did you not?
You know, you're of course forcing me
loved it.
to open the bottle and pour a different glass. So
Well, the thing that I noticed on the label when I looked on the website is that the coffee is cold brewed that's in it.
yeah, that's what I
Yes.
heard. That's what it says. Yeah, it says
That changes the flavor of the coffee immensely. So I'm kind of wondering how that will affect the flavor of the beer.
All right, I'm smelling it.
I can't smell.
This is the Noir, the Milk Stout.
Here, Alan, I'll put up to the camera for you so you can smell.
Oh yeah, I smell that.
Here, smell that, man. Can you smell
Yeah.
it?
I don't know about you, Shane, but there's a lot of coffeeness going on here. Like it comes out pretty
Yeah.
strong.
There's actually
like it.
way more than I would have suspected. But I
Yeah.
like it because it tastes like beer, but you kind of got that coffee aftertaste. Like, not just a hint of beer. There's definitely a lot more.
I would describe
like
this as a fun beer,
This is a fun beer.
despite the fact that
It's
there
too bad
is
Alan didn't get
a
any.
grand total of 60 beer units on this one.
Yes, the 60 beer
It's
units.
actually higher than
what?
the number
Really?
that you guys just had. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
International beer unit of 60. Good lord. Wow.
hmm
The one thing I actually like about this is the first beer in a while that the international beer units are very clear.
I just want to put a disclaimer here, just for anybody who might be watching. We know that IBUs do not stand for International Beer Units. We're just being jerks.
Yeah, because international
Yeah.
beer units is lame.
This is all my fault.
Yeah, way to go, Dave.
And I proudly state that it's my fault.
So I have to say that I am particularly impressed by this beer. Almost as impressed as the time I had a Flaming Moe.
Yes. Did you actually have a Flaming Moe?
No,
Or
I'm
a
very curious
Duff
what a
beer.
Flaming Moe is.
So apparently there's a bar, a new bar in Montreal, and they're serving Duff beer, like it's branded beer that's branded Duff, and from The Simpsons, and they're also selling Flaming Moe's, which was featured in a particular episode of The Simpsons where Moe's bar needed a new drink, and Homer came up with something called a Flaming Homer, and Moe decided he was going to steal it and pass it off as his own, and it called it a Flaming Moe. And it was the exact same drink, and he became very rich and successful because of it, until the end, when, because everything has to be status quo, everything went back to normal. I'd be interested to see if they're making Flaming Moe's in the same way as they did, because
I
the
can't
Flaming
imagine
Moe had cough syrup in it.
Oh.
So can they put cough syrup into an
Probably
alcoholic
not.
beverage?
Probably not.
I'm thinking that there might be a law against that. And plus, I remember it came, flaming on the top, and then you had to blow it out before you drink it. Like, is that possible? I mean, I know it's possible in some drinks, but was it possible with the particular recipe that they mentioned on The Simpsons? Because I don't think... I mean, I'd be kind of impressed if they went to that kind of extent to actually develop an actual drink and with a real recipe and put that in the episode. I thought they were just kind of BSing everybody.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if they had to actually cook up a different recipe to make it work.
Yeah.
But given the mixology that goes on these days, it wouldn't surprise me either that somebody was able to pull it off.
So the question is, like, okay, say a bar here in Vancouver or Comox or here in Victoria opened up and offered these particular drink combinations. Would you go? Would you buy them? Because I would. Probably once.
You know what? I probably wouldn't, just because I don't go to bars typically.
Even like, are you a Simpsons fan?
Yeah, I like Simpsons.
See, I would go just because like I'm a huge Simpsons fan. And I want to say, well, I tried what a Flaming Moe tastes like, and so I know what these people are experiencing in cartoon world. But I'd probably just do it once, I would imagine. So I would think that bar in Montreal probably isn't going to survive very long. It's going to be sort of one of those things people are going to go try it once and say, yeah, I've done that, and go back to doing what they used to do. I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
I'm upset.
Why?
Uh-oh.
Look
what you've done now, Alan.
There's a brewery in, now I'm going to pronounce this so wrong, but Dunedin, or Dunedin something.
In Florida? Dunedin?
Dunedin in South Hemisphere country named New Zealand. I don't know why I had to identify what hemisphere it was in. There's a brewery there called Duff, which had been brewing the Duff brand for a long time before The Simpsons existed. Get away, insect. And the Simpsons threatened to sue them, like 20th Century Fox threatened to sue them, and so they had to change the name of their beer, and I'm really kind of sad about that.
Oh.
I just been, as you guys have been talking, I've just been kind of looking at whether or not Duff beer is actually being brewed, and there's several countries that have somebody brewing something like it, but this one brewed Duff beer many years before The Simpsons, but due to being threatened with legal action, they changed it to McDuff because they felt they were unable to afford a lawsuit because there.
Which is interesting because the mascot for Duff beer in The Simpsons is a dog named Suds McDuff.
I'd actually forgotten that. That's hilarious. I don't know. I guess this just really makes me sad that that an organization like Fox. Oh, actually, wait a minute. This doesn't surprise me at all.
No, it shouldn't.
I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me?
I said it, and then my brain was like, "Loser." So it just makes me sad that that they couldn't. That if they found them and said, "Hey guys, we have lots of money. Do you guys want to make some beer for us?" Like, could you imagine a small brewery going, "I beg your pardon," and just leaving them alone? Like, it never seems to be the option to leave somebody alone. If you are, they're not brewing anything that looks like the beer. They're not trying to imply they've been doing it longer. I don't know. It just makes me sad. That just makes me sad. Says Shane, drinking some coffee-laced beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope there's no caffeine in here.
There probably is, Dave. Lots of it. But the alcohol will counteract that. What is the alcohol content in that beer, incidentally?
In the Noir?
7.6.
Yeah. How much?
7.6.
Oh, wow, that's actually quite strong.
So a bit more than the other one.
It's even got the original gravity on here.
Huh? So, in other news,
yes,
Have you guys heard of this thing in the States called the Powerball lottery?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So the Powerball lottery has gotten to be this huge jackpot. It was at, last I heard, like $1.5 billion US.
I don't think huge is a strong enough word.
No. I mean, can you imagine just suddenly winning $1.5 billion?
No, because my
I would
brain
never be heard from
explode.
again.
So apparently, because they had their draw tonight, I guess it's drawn on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and apparently somebody in California has won.
I wonder if they know they've won.
The California Lottery has said on its Twitter feed that it has a $1.5 billion lottery winner, and the winning ticket was sold in Chino Hills, wherever that is. It's somewhere in California.
Chino Hills is up the valley in Los Angeles, sort of up.
Is that like a rich area or?
No, because a lot of it's a park. Like there's a large, it's kind of hard to describe LA without if you haven't been there. But essentially, there's kind of this tiny mountain range running up almost the center of it.
Right.
So there's
Sounds like it would be pretty
There's
premium real
famous,
estate, though.
Sorry?
Sounds like it'd be pretty premium real estate from the way you're describing it.
I don't know. It probably is, considering there's a lot of when the houses get up into the hills, like up into the mountainous sort of areas of LA, they tend to be obviously higher. But my favorite thing about it is that there's actually a town in. I'm just looking it up now. I just pulled it up. There's actually a town called Sleepy Hollow, in LA, which is kind of weird. Featuring Jake's speed and performance cycles. So anyway, there you go. Useless trivia for the day. Yeah, Chino Hills. It's I'm kind of curious.
What I'd like to know is if somebody who is maybe kind of lives a poor lifestyle has won this 1.5 billion. I mean, how would that change it? Like, if I ever thought about like winning the lottery, like the largest jackpot here, and is maybe like $60 million or something like that. It's one thing I would love to do is buy a professional hockey team like the Canucks or something like that, and $60 million is nowhere near close enough to be able to afford something like that.
No,
but
true.
1.5 billion, you could buy like multiple professional sports teams if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And the arenas and stadiums that they play in, and still have a lot of money left over. I mean, how does that? I mean, I can't even fathom. It wouldn't just change your life. I mean, you'd be dead. There's no way somebody can take that kind of money and not have it totally screw up their lives. Imagine going from being like the most powerless person in the world to being almost one of the most powerful people, at least from your perspective, from where you're coming from, right? Yeah. No one could touch you. I mean, everybody's going to be your yes man. Nobody's going to ever say no to you for anything.
Hey,
how do you deal with that?
What is that? There's an episode of Family Guy where they're at so and so's house, and the baby character
Stewie
turns to like the person mowing the grass or something, and the butler like, you and you fight, and they start to fight. That's totally what I would do.
Well,
like,
totally. And
this
is
what
that person's going to do. You know the phrase or the saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Oh, totally.
That's what's going to happen to these people that win. Assuming it's not like a group buy, like where some like 300 people in a company all bought in for a ticket or something.
I kind of hope that is the case.
I actually hope that is the case as well. But still, if it's just like one person who won this 1.5 billion dollars US, I mean, how could that not corrupt you in some way?
Oh, I think it would. I can't see it not corrupting. Somebody.
Exactly. I think it does more harm than good.
Yeah,
well, you know what I would like
I
to
would
see?
still be $1.5 billion richer, and I
But you know
wouldn't
what?
care.
You know what would almost be better is if they took that 1.5 billion and they broke it up into like a whole bunch of $1 million prizes, and a whole bunch of people became millionaires.
Yeah. Although, really, is $1 million really being a millionaire these days?
Well, a million. Well, yes, technically it is, but is it enough to like? You wouldn't be able to retire or anything with it. Well, I guess depends on how old you are, but if you're us, no, you wouldn't be able to retire with that and just live comfortably for the rest of your life. It wouldn't be enough, but it sure would make life a hell of a lot easier.
Definitely.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that the high school that we all know and love is directly north of where the ticket was won. So I just want to say to those who know what I'm talking about, San Dimas high school football rules.
Football rules!
It was kind of funny. I was looking at the map
Be
of
excellent to each other.
Chino Hills, and like directly north is San Dimas, not too far away. Yeah, there you go. And finally,
that's funny.
In other news, Shane says, searching desperately for the article, Niagara College Brew School has boosted Ontario's craft industry. Mic drop. That means that going to school to learn how to brew beer makes the world a better place.
This is actually like a really cool program, and I'm kind of sad that they don't have something similar out west, because this is something that if I was a little bit younger, I might be interested in. But basically, it's a 2-year program at Niagara College, and you come out of it being like a brewmaster. You learn how to brew the beer, you learn the science of it, and learn how to create, your own your own creations. It seems like, and you learn marketing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you're immediately employable in the craft beer industry, which I think is so cool.
I kind of, are we ever going to get to a point where every single recipe of beer has been made?
No.
Okay.
Will we get to a point where every single recipe of good beer is made? Yes.
Yeah.
But every single possible recipe, no. There's always something you can add to beer. It's not necessarily a good thing to add to it, but at some point somebody's got to add marshmallow to beer. Is that a good thing?
No.
I don't know.
No, I mean, there's some.
I thought somebody already did that with the voodoo donut that you had one show.
There wasn't
not that particular. Oh, speaking of the voodoo donut, and I've been meaning to. I didn't realize that there is a big, huge donut chain in Oregon called Voodoo Donut. And so the Voodoo Donut is sort of like named after this donut. I didn't know this until fairly recently. So I feel like a bit of a noob for not knowing that. So the Voodoo Donut changes flavors from time to time, and I don't know if it's based on the flavor of a donut that the Voodoo Donut chain puts out occasionally. But whatever. So since we did the Voodoo Donut last spring, there's been like 2 or 3 other Voodoo Donut flavors that have come out since then.
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting. I never realized it was based off of a donut shop.
Which is kind of cool.
It is cool. Now it makes me want to go to Oregon and go to a Voodoo Donut shop.
Oregon is actually a pretty cool state.
So I'm hearing. I've never been.
Yeah. No, if I had to live in the States, somebody said, okay, you got to, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, you got to, and I had my choice. Well, obviously my first choice would be Hawaii, but my second choice would certainly be Oregon, because Oregon actually feels quite a bit like here in a lot of ways.
That's what I'm sort of hearing. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say Washington State does as well, but
Yeah, I think so. I drove through Washington. I actually spent time in Oregon, so
right.
it's neat to kind of see the towns a
And
little
maybe
bit.
Northern California too would be a lot like here. I've never been to California, so I'm not well traveled. But I'll have you guys know that I booked my very first trip to Vegas.
Nicely done.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
You're going to Vegas?
Yeah.
When?
In late February.
Kick ass.
Yeah.
I'm totally jealous. Hey, have you actually
Is this the wife
guys
finally convinced you?
heard about New Leaf?
What about it?
They are a new airline.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant the iced tea company.
No. It is. It's brand new. It's like starting in February. Then they're doing a lot of really cheap flights in Canada. Like $70 to Toronto kind of thing. Stuff like that. Which is leading to
From Vancouver?
Abbotsford specifically. They're flying out of smaller airports, which are kind of like.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
I gotta go to
Seriously.
Abbotsford?
I gotta like half the price and go to Abbotsford. Screw that.
Okay, it would take me longer to get to fucking Abbotsford than it would to just get on a fucking plane and fly to Toronto.
But you'd save a ton of cash.
Yeah, but I don't care if I'm spending like a whole day just getting to my fucking flight. That's a huge pain in the ass. And the
All
same
right.
would go for you, Alan.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it would be
I can see
worthwhile
the
for us on the island, but I mean, people in the Lower Mainland, I mean, that's huge. How far is Abbotsford outside of the Lower Mainland? Like an
It's
hour?
about a half an hour drive.
It's about
No, half an hour,
yeah.
45 minutes.
Yeah, about 45 minutes, yeah, at the most. I mean, it depends on traffic. Going out to Abbotsford, you're just driving down the number one.
I mean, for some people, that's just as much time as it takes to get to Richmond.
That is true. That is very true. Although I'm getting to Richmond.
If you're on the North Shore, it actually might be a little quicker because you can avoid the whole downtown schmozzle.
Exactly.
Number one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have been going to Richmond quite a bit of late, mainly because my pug Serendipity is very expensive, requiring a flush of her bladder.
Do we want to know what kind of flush this is?
Well, it's a flush of her bladder.
I'd like you to just picture that for a second. Now, they don't have to cut you open, but if you, my friends, would have to have your bladders flushed, just picture with me for a moment what that would be. And cringe.
Or not.
Oh yes. Just picture somebody saying,
however it feels, and I can imagine what it costs. If you go to like a place like Jiffy Lube, they can do a flush for a lot cheaper. It's like $25.
It's a $25 bladder flush. Sir, I'd like to give you a pillow. Could you just bite this pillow? Because this is gonna hurt.
Do you want 10W30 in there? Do you want synthetic?
Oh God, that's so horrible. It's so horrible. So yeah.
Time to wrap it up.
To wrap it up, boys. So anyway, I think for the beers today, I give them both a thumbs up. I can't imagine these beers being bad to anybody. Yeah, I really enjoy these ones. Like, I'm glad we were able to find them because for the last while, or sorry, for the time that we were trying to get them originally, we just failed so badly because it was just not available. We didn't get the right ones. We didn't have the, just they were just nowhere to be found, and I was so sad about that. And I'm glad that we've actually revisited and decided to get them again. I gotta say, I am impressed, and I would recommend these beers to anybody who wants to have a a beer that actually is good.
So my beer that I had was the Ninkasi Sleigh'r. It's a Christmas seasonal beer, so if you're going to get it, I suggest you get it soon. I found mine at Cascadia, or pardon me, no, I didn't find it at Cascadia. I found it at Liquor Plus in Victoria, and have a look for it in your area and see if you can find it. It's a good one, but it'll only be around for a little bit while longer, so if you want to try it, get on it. And Dave, what about yours?
Yeah, the Noir. Yeah, baby. You know what's interesting is...
Did you just say, love it, baby? That's what I
Love
heard.
it, baby.
You gotta love this beer, baby.
You look like
if you had asked me a couple of years ago to give this a shot, I would have said tastes like shit.
I'm so
I'm
glad
not
that
sure
we
this is a
converted
newbie
you.
beer. I'm not sure this is a newbie beer.
Really? Well,
'Cause I'm
okay,
kind of a
the
noob in
strong
beer
coffee
so-
definitely could be a bit of a turnoff.
I really want to try this beer now. I love beers with coffee in it. I don't know what it is. I think they go so well together.
I'm pissed. I should have asked about the date on it. Because you know what? I didn't realize that it was a December. I figured that it was actually new on the shelf. So it was like a New Year beer, not a December beer.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah. That's why I got it, because I thought, hey, I just
It
bought
does-
this. It's got to be fresh, so hopefully all of us can find it without too much sweat. So I should have asked.
From what I gather, it's available from October through December. It seems kind of odd for the time, considering everybody else is putting out stuff with pumpkin and
Yeah, really, eh?
gingerbread and all that other crap.
Yeah, there's nothing Christmas about
but
this.
you know
I
what?
think it actually would make a better New Year beer.
But you know what?
January, February.
I'll keep it in mind. I'll keep it in the back of my head for next year. And you know what? You never know. I might find a bottle of it kicking around somewhere in the places that I didn't go to find it for this week.
There you go. All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank everyone for watching this week. We talked a lot about what the hell our strange world is doing. We are drinking some holiday beers, and you know what? I give a thumbs up to all of it because as crazy as the world is, you just have to drink beer in order to get through it. Dave, when people want to find you online when they're not looking at the Crafty Boys, where can they find you?
They could find me on the Twitters, I suppose. Or I should say at the Fool. It's spelled kind of weird. It's the Phule.
And Alan, what about you, sir?
Well, I mean, people can go on Twitter as well and look for me there. I have my own account on there. I mean, they can do like the Crafty Boys and stuff. I mean, the Crafty Boys are good because it reaches everybody then, right? But they can go on, at Alan M. That's my middle initial. I'm not telling you what it stands for. Ford. Ford. That's what it is. That's my name.
Don't wear it out.